Capricorn, your weekly reading is super late this week. So again, I want to emphasize the fact that time is fluid, okay? So this is for the week beginning April 12th. However, because time is fluid, you may be permeating this message and the events of such either this coming week. It might be something that's still crystallizing within you because you are still allowing that wisdom to come through. It might be something that pops up in your experience in the next few weeks, okay? It all depends. However, I do put time markers on them. I'm a bit reluctant to, but like I said, for week beginning April 12th and 13th, depending on where you find yourself on the globe, wherever you find yourself in the timeline listening to this, okay? So my channel is for empaths, sensitives, and intuitives, those that might align with being on an awakening path and journey. So these messages, my intention, are for soul wisdom, healing, confirmation, creative inspiration, and what else? Yeah, essentially confirmation, okay? Because we are our own greatest guides. Alrighty? Okay, Cappy, let's go. Your theme for the week is something special. It is source. I do find that a lot of these readings, as much as I try and be practical, they are very deep and soul focused. So maybe you're going within, and maybe you're connecting into something a little bit bigger than everything else that's happening for us all globally. Maybe you're connecting in and looking for some higher views around anything you might be experiencing within your waking reality, you know. So apply this how this works for you. Prayer is very real for a lot of individuals. So too is connecting into higher self, whatever God consciousness means for you, whether that's internal or external, okay? So source. You might notice shifts and changes within your dream state experience. You might gain inspiration and be noticing a lot of synchronicity, okay? Whether you see that in numbers, whether you see that in messages, whether you see that in symbolism. It's all unique for us all. Source has a message for you this week, Cappy. Listen. Let's see what the tarot might want to say. And the tarot will help clarify. Wow, I love how I just notice new things all the time. Doesn't matter how long I've owned cards, use them, work with them. Look at the connection of hands. Look at that rainbow light. Maybe you're noticing light waves. I work a lot with sun energy, Cappy. Now, the rainbow codes, diamond codes, I don't know if that means anything for you, but look at this, in the joining together of the left and right polarities, male and female, shadow and light. In the union, something else is birthed here. Look at the rainbow light, it's quite different. And we're divinely guided with a lot of clarity to do so. Maybe there are two parts of you, an old belief and a new belief. Maybe you've been experiencing some dissonance when it comes to perception, thoughts, beliefs. The old version of you coming together of your tribe, individuals, just that union message as a whole is perhaps relevant for you. Look at you go, lots of love, and you're moving away from fear into emotional mastery with a big focus. There's a lot of women involved here. This coming together might be your soul tribe, might be members of your family, might be the women that matter the most to you, okay? So if you are female, then best friend, sister, mother. Underneath all this is the Page of Cups. There could be an apology on offer. The Empress wants to make herself known to you, Cappy. There could be an apology on offer. At the least, it's infant words of emotional expression, okay? These are the I care about you, I love you, how are you, you know, expressions of love, expressions of emotion. You might be in the infant stages or early stages of being able to, you know, freely express your emotions. I guess if I look at Capricorn as a traditional stock standard, you know, you're not necessarily known to be able to speak so free flow like that when it comes. And I do see here being practical in your approach and being so focused on the family and love and what matters the most to you at this time has freed up some emotional expression and authenticity within you, perhaps, Capricorn. You know, you've come out of a time of fear where you've held your guard up, where you felt reserved, where you this is your will and choosing to hold yourself back, you know. But if she only just releases one sword, she can take off the blindfold. There might be a 2-year story here for many Cappies that I'm talking to. At the center of your reading is you. You are the Queen of Coins. You are practical. You have something tangible to offer. That doesn't just have to be money. This is thoughts, deeds of love. You know, it's not just words of love. It's the production of that. But I keep feeling I'm talking to a Cappy that knows that their love language has always been this doing. But they're now marrying that up because family or because love is important. Maybe there were conversations. Maybe there was an apology you were expressing or someone is expressing to you, Cappy. I just want to make that known. Something was lost here, and underneath all this is the energy of loss. And sometimes loss is a good thing if we're walking away from old fears, old paradigms, old ways of being and connecting. Because when I look at this, I'm seeing a refresh. Okay, a refresh, a coming together of two different kinds of feminine energy. Sure, very practically speaking, this can be two different people. However, I feel I'm speaking to a Capricorn that is in union, uniting two elements of self. Maybe you've always, you know, Capricorn's deep in here. Family and kin is everything now. Will they talk about that? No. They're actually, this is what closes your reading, okay? They're quite reserved. They're very good at self-control and being that CEO, that authoritarian figure. But I feel that I'm talking to some Cappies that have shifted and they're bringing into union something within them that actually openly expresses that emotional free flow. And you know what, Capricorn? The last few weeks has seen many of us face unprecedented circumstances and realities, really. There's been a very big focus on what and who matters the most and checking in on our loved ones, and at the end of the day, as great as the mountains you have built and overcome and the results you have achieved for yourself, because you're massive achievers. You know, what and who matters the most really is at the crux of those foundational desires for you, Capricorn. You know, the reason you are building those ventures and achieving so much in your life is for the ones that matter the most, you know. And I feel I'm speaking to Capricorns that are uniting this within them. They're coming to there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to that authentic expression of who we are, what we value, Capricorn. And there's a very big love and family focus. And I feel I'm speaking to Capricorns that are perhaps even walking away. Like I said, when I felt like this is a good thing, or there is at least wisdom gained from loss. And if we're financially losing in these times, which is a reality for a lot of us, okay, I do see here your intentional focus, Capricorn, has been on this bigger picture. And in doing so, that choice to take off the fear blindfold and not focus so much on what was lost, but what truly is here. I feel this is a gift from above in many ways. You know, you were guided by your higher self to do so, to ultimately nourish you and bring you into balance. Yeah. I do want to say there are 3 queens on the table and there's also the High Priestess. I feel I'm speaking to a female Capricorn that is incorporating these energies within her. You know very well what your boundaries are, thanks to the Queen of Swords, and I feel there are Capricorns this week because this introduces the energy that you will be experiencing, what is likely to happen next. There are a couple of things that need to be cut, a couple of conversations. You know, there's a need for truth here. I don't feel like there's a need for truth. I want to encourage you to continue to express your truth, your words of love, what matters most to you. Putting down boundaries on the old then is no longer relevant, and cutting out the dross of anything that doesn't fit into this picture, Cappy. You know what and who matters the most. You know why you're doing what you're doing. But the 3 queens, you know, this is and the High Priestess. This is, I feel like I'm speaking to a female Capricorn that is incorporating and embodying all of this emotional mastery, this practical application, and ability to manifest and give on the physical, who also is very clear within herself about what she will and won't allow, what her boundaries are, what no longer exists when it comes to what our focus is on, You're graduating in many ways into this higher element of yourself, Capricorn. This is a very big week. I'm also speaking to Capricorns where I do want to say that the past is keeping you up at night. Look, and I feel that could definitely be love, the return of the past in some way. And you know what, Cappy, this time, what are we now? For many of us, this is week 3, week 4. This time in isolation has afforded us an opportunity when we do have nothing else other than to sort of go in and be governed by our thoughts, our feelings, what does come up for reviewing, our fears, as well as, what we cherish and value the most. We have time to think about our losses and how we feel about them, because when we're so busy in this eat, sleep, repeat pattern, it's we have no time. We have no time to genuinely and authentically connect into us, our story, what we've learnt, the wisdoms we've gained from our journey, Capricorn. We have very little time to get back to blueprint on the big key players and value systems within that form the foundations and frameworks of our being, And now that routine no longer exists. Many of us have nothing to do other than really face ourselves. Now that can go as deep and difficult as you like, or it can be truly quite enriching and healing for many too. So I feel like I'm speaking to a Capricorn that is in the final stages of really coming into being about some higher principles here, about everything you've gained, everything you've lost. You're really getting to the crossroads and creating clear definitions and parameters around who you are and all the wisdom gifts you're taking with you moving forward in order to identify what this new kingdom is going to be for you. I feel like the past is of influence, and I do want to say you're going through the last dregs of it, is what I keep hearing. Now, whether this is about regret, whether someone comes in to say sorry, whether you say sorry, this is all a heartfelt experience, I feel. We can release cords, we can close chapters without physically having to be present in front of another. I also feel like I'm talking to a Capricorn that is finally facing a deep grief as well, losing a loved one from the past, in spirit or otherwise. Yep, that's what I'm feeling. This is the time you've been able to reminisce over the past and truly connect into how far you've come. This might be a 9-year story, Cappy, in particular to that. Congeniality, those souls that crossed our paths I feel like crying now, for the gift of love they brought our lives. I keep hearing, it's like music, like a song. You know that, goodness, I'm going to rack my brain now. I had it for my high school graduation song, and I think pretty much everyone did for 10 years after that. You'll know what I'm talking about. I hope you've had the time of your life. You know the song. It's so hard not to sing on this channel because I hear all sorts of stuff. I'll hear conversations, I'll hear words, I'll hear music. I hope you've had the time of your life. And I feel this sort of energy. There's a Capricorn out there in review about the souls that have crossed their paths as gifts, as loved ones. I'm covered in goosebumps. As loved ones that were gifts of love for fleeting moments within the journey. And there's a lot of wisdom here, you know. I also want to say that, and they don't have to be female, but there have been significant players in your life, Cappy, that have shaped you, positively influenced you. They have been beacons of inspiration when it comes to emotional mastery and nurture and that mother figure, when it comes to practical success and achieving business goals, and when it comes to being very clear with their personal authority and having boundaries. And I feel like I'm speaking to a Cappy that has learnt wisdoms from... They're not just ingraining all this within them, they're looking back on their journey and the inspirational souls that have crossed their paths, and their presence has left them with these gifts of the heart. Not all experiences are bad, you know. Some people just want to be these angels, and they're heaven sent. They're heaven sent. I feel like I'm picking up on a particular thread here, and there's Cappies out there that are finally grieving that loss and letting it go. I feel I'm speaking to Cappies that are twofold and wanting to feel like they need to be practical and be in control, whatever that means. And I feel this is more like old world paradigm stuff, Cappy. What does it mean to be in control? Perhaps if we can be calm in the middle of a storm, that is control. Perhaps if we can be adaptable with change and thrive, regardless if it wasn't in the original plans, that is great control. Yeah? I think you are redefining and intuitively connecting into a sense of order that you perhaps haven't allowed yourself in the past. When the High Priestess shows up, you know, she's very intuitive. She's ruled by soul and wisdom of the journey she has traveled, the darkness and the light, the experiences that brought her pain, the experiences that brought her love and support. She is the product of both. She is the product of both wisdom. Both are just as spiritually true as the other. They are equal pillars. Okay, you might, and I never feel like I need to mention these, but the letters B and J, whether that's a name, an initial for something, might be relevant. In regards to influential souls. I'm talking to a Cappy that will, in some way or another, be able to create new foundations and blueprints about the kingdom they are creating moving forward after everything they've learned. I think you're even getting tweaks and reminders of the past about an old dream, old goal, old sense of what is important to you. Really, like, I feel like I'm at a crossroads in many ways, and I'm bringing in everything together, the wisdom and the learning, the versions of myself, who I am over there with those people, who I am over here with my family, who I am, you know, I'm coming to union in myself to truly, guided by source, guided by this higher knowing, this intuitive wisdom of how best to navigate my journey moving forward. And that's when I can truly step into this Emperor or Empress energy, because the Empress was wanting to make herself known. I could be speaking to Cappies where this connection is relevant too. Maybe I'm speaking to Cappies, male or female, where someone important to you, you know, embodies all of this. You're reviewing the gifts of all the different connections in your life that have helped you become who you are, so you know who you no longer want to be even, and what you will no longer allow when it comes to what creates loss, you know, our actions or others. I feel like there's a conversation of love, an apology that may be potentially happening or have happened that you did not know how to process, is what I keep hearing. I don't feel like you're stuck in this energy. And if anything, I don't think you show it, is what I'm thinking. You know, sometimes we had to be strategic. Sometimes we learn from the most challenging connections what we don't want, you know, and things are taken from us without us knowing, and it's not until later that we learn those wisdoms. And this can go either way. Either way, sometimes it's not until later that we look back on our journey and we we see that our strategic approach, our self-centered approach, or another's self-centered approach, you know, really was about survival mode, or a lack of love and genuine intentions of love, because that's not what they... When you're coming from this space, it's quite a different intention. You're in survival mode. I feel like I'm talking to a Capricorn that's reviewing all connections from the past and what they've ultimately learned, gained, experienced, and how that has fundamentally shaped who you are today. How it's developed a strong intuition within you about the people in your life. And when you meet a new connection and intuitively knowing exactly whether that resonates with you or not, Cappy. I do want to say, for the Capricorns that aren't in a connection, this is coming, and I think this review mode is essential. I do want to say I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of weeks if I'm picking up on a frequency that is a storyline about an emperor and an empress. Okay? I'm going to love you and leave you. It looks like a good week, Cappy. It looks like good review mode. It looks like Source is trying to get a message to you about all the wisdoms you have gained and about this new approach in where we go from here when it comes to your major goals, plans, everything you've learned, everyone that's been of influence to you, and the gifts of love they've ultimately deposited in your life for you to embody everything that you are. Hello. I'll see you next week.